He's looking down at his chips and he's thinking to himself, how have I gone in this position against these guys?
Well, he's tried to make 2 big plays, and both times they haven't worked out.
Run into a brick wall both times.
So Frank, who just took the last pot, is first to speak, and he's got a pocket pair of 5s and lets them go.
Out of position with him, but you might want to just flat call and try and take a flop if nothing else.
Stefan, very patient, hasn't forced a play since winning the very first pot.
Fold.
So Glenn on the button folds. We're around to Anders. Calls with the 3-10.
Nicholas.
And Nicholas with the Queen 10 is going to raise it up.
1,200. Raise.
And that'll probably bump Anders right out.
Yeah. Nicholas sensed weakness in Anders, just flat calling, decided to put some pressure on with the reasonable playable hand.
And brings in Anders' small blind and call. And that puts Nicholas back up at the top of the chip table. We're back up to 15,000, where he has been. This is the 15th hand. The blinds are at the 2nd level. And the first to speak is the man who won the very first hand and has been very silent since, and folds again. Lasse Hoivik at the bottom of the chip table is out. Glenn Schiller is gone. On the button now is Anders. He's folding. The small blind, Nicholas, Queen 10 suited.
Call. 200.
Brings it up with a call, makes up the big blind, and the man in the big blind, Frank Larson, has a pocket pair, and he's going to try to protect them with a raise of 1,000. And Nicholas calls immediately. Doesn't even think about it. And look at him eyeing Frank, trying to sense his reaction. Well, Frank's got a set of 6s.
Nicholas, first speak.
Nicholas has a straight draw.
Check.
Also got the flush draw, Mike.
And a flush draw. Thank you, Pete.
Check.
Interesting confrontation
He's
now.
hit the flush.
Yeah, it'll be interesting confrontation now because Frank might not read him for this flush.
Frank trap checking with the pair of 6s turned into a set, and now is going to bet them.
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah, Nicholas has led him into the trap. And now he can spring it. And Frank might well be in the trap here now.
Well, Frank thinks that he's trapped Nicholas. That's the problem, isn't it?
Frank. I'm all in.
And Frank's all in. Yes, indeed. And this is an all or nothing bet from Frank Larson.
He's 3,500 to call.
It's all in, all or nothing, because Nicholas is the chip leader, and Nicholas doesn't seem to be hesitating.
Well, he's not. Frank's just pressed the suicide button and doesn't know it. He may get out of it, but he's a little bit unlucky, but that's his poker.
And here they come. 6 makes him 4 6s. A pair on the table would make him a full house.
Here's the river.
And it's an 8. He's hit the full house on the river.
Poor Nicholas couldn't believe it, look.
And Nicholas, who hadn't had the flush made, watches Frank hit a full house on the river. Frank doubles up and stays alive and moves into the chip lead.
Yeah, Frank makes a mistake, and at the end of the day, he got away with it. And poor Nicholas, you got to feel for him a little bit, and he looks absolutely gutted, doesn't he? Absolutely gutted. Oh, dear,
and there's where they stand. Nicholas Holmstrom, who's led through most of this 15 hands, is now down a second from bottom, and Frank Larson is our new chip leader. Sixteenth hand coming up, and look at Nicholas Holmstrom.
Yeah,
his head is still buried in his hands. He can't believe that he lost that last hand.
Well, he's got to get over it and move on.
All in.
Lasse, the short stack, just 3,800, goes all in with the ace jack. Glenn now. He was thinking about playing that ace 4, but not anymore. It's 3,800, the all-in bet. Jack 6 isn't going to play.
Nicholas.
The ace deuce isn't going to play. Frank Larson, who's our new chip leader, isn't going to take him on. He doesn't think he'll get that lucky twice in a row. And now Stefan. And he folds. So the big bet simply brings in the 2 blinds, 600 added to the short stack of Lasse Hoivik. Nicholas still thinking over it. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason to beat
No,
yourself, is there?
you know, he got himself in the right shape, right time, and just didn't get the right result. So, I mean, that's poker, mate. You've got to move on from these things. You know, you can't dwell on it. He wants to let it go and just continue.
Yeah, sometimes you play it completely right and you're still going to lose.
Yes, played it, you know, dead right. Got the guy to put all his money in, nearly 4-1 underdog or something like that.
And you see the button now has moved in front of Frank Larson. That means Glenn Schiller, a celebrity football agent, first to speak.
Fold.
He
Hans.
folds those little suited connectors, but Anders is going to call with his 8 and 9, ace 9. Nicholas not playing the ace 9, and the ace 8 for Stefan.
Raise.
And he's going to bring it in with a raise. This is his first play, I think, since the first hand that he won it. And he won it with a very good play on the first hand.
Yeah, it's good play, this one from Stefan, because when the flop comes out, he'll be the first to speak. He'll be out of position. So nice play if he can get away with it now. Just end it here and now.
Lasse. 1,000 to call.
Lasse is not going to call with those. So over to Anders, who limped in with the 8-9.
I fold.
And he folds. So Stefan takes the blinds plus Anders' call. That's 2 played for him and 2-1.
Yeah, plus it'll do his psychology and no harm at all to just remove them like that.
I think he's
Gives
got a
him
lot
bit
of play.
confidence. Yeah, he has done. He's weighting his game. And maybe his bark is as bad as his bite. Maybe the ferocious looks go along with his play, you know.
I know, if he gives up poker, I know a Finnish goth group that might need another member.
The Goths.
Lodi. Now the button moves in front of Stefan. That means the first to speak is Anders. 4-5.
Anders, first speak. Fold.
Small suited connectors. Ace 6 for
Ace.
Nicholas. Now
Fold.
that's the 3rd time in a row he's passed an ace since losing that hand. It obviously has had an effect on him. He doesn't want to play
1,200. 1,200.
ace 7 from Frank. He'll play those. Stefan?
Stefan.
Fold.
Nope. Lasse? King
Lasse.
3? Nope.
Glenn.
800 to call? Nope. So the bet from Frank with the ace 7 wins it. But right now, Nicholas, he's had 3 playable hands since he lost that big all-in to Frank, and he hasn't played any of them.
Yeah, and a couple of them, you know, he would have got in trouble perhaps with them when we look at the way the cards have been distributed. But I think he's shaking him a little bit. I think, yeah, he's visibly shaking, and, you know, he's probably a bit upset about it all. He's only a young lad. He's got quite a lot to learn, to be honest. But he needs to stop doing this. He needs to stop putting his head in his hands and looking up and looking round and just concentrate and move on.
He's kind of trimming the edges of his mullet, isn't he? Making sure the mullet hangs properly.
He's still upset at the result, but you can't be upset at results. That's you know, that's the way it goes. Nothing's guaranteed.
19th hand now. Nicholas is the first to speak.
Nicholas, first speak. Fold.
Jack 7. Now those are gone. Frank 5-7.
Fold.
Stefan pocket 3s.
Raise.
Reese.
Brings them in with a raise.
Yeah, he's in good position with him, sitting behind the button there.
Lasse.
1,200 for Lasse to call. That's too much for the King 8. Glenn.
Fold.
Queen 9 suited is gone. And Anders. They're gone as well. So again,
All showing
just
respect.
eliminates the competition and protects his 3s and picks up a small pot. Anything left to say, Pete?
No, you've just summed up everything. I do like that look, Mike. It's not suitable for me, but I do like that look.
Well, I mean, it's halfway there to you. All you need to do is stick the metal in your nose, and you'd be there.
Yeah, a couple of Sputniks in my nose and one in the lip. Oh, and grow some of that on the chin a bit more.
20th hand now. First to speak is the chip leader, Frank Larson, and he's got a suited King and Queen. The little slick.
1,200.
You think he's a little slick, yeah? Okay.
King 5 for Stefan,
Fold.
and he respects the bet, gets out.
Lasse. Fold.
Last is gone. 8, ace and 8,
Fold.
suited for Glenn. He's going to call.
Sitting on the button, so he does have some power with his hand, I suppose we can say.
Anders.
And Anders with an ace jack is going to call. Nicholas.
Nicholas. Fold.
And he
3
folds.
players.
So we've got a king queen, an ace 8, and an ace jack. 2 players with 2 hearts as well. So some hearts on the flop could make it interesting. There's 1. There's 2. So 2 players on the flush draw.
Yeah, one will like it if it comes, and one certainly won't like it if it comes.
Funk.
If you're new to poker, the player with the highest card in the flush wins it, so Glenn's ace is looking good.
200.
But he has to hang around long enough to
Call.
see it.
Glenn.
Yep, well, he's
Call.
going to call.
Anders. Fold.
And
Super.
Anders, the player who's actually ahead in the hand right now, is the first to fold.
Yeah, he's the least experienced at the table, Anders, so nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Pair of eights for Glenn.
Check. Check.
Frank
Glenn.
checks.
Check.
Glenn checks back. And a 5 on the river.
Funk.
Doesn't change anything.
Now, I wonder if Frank's going to have a bluff at it now. Probably can't win it. He probably knows he can't win it by showing down. Might try a bluff at it.
Bet 2,000.
Nice. He bets 2,000.
There he goes.
Glenn.
Now, can he remove Glenn? It's a bit of a test for Glenn, this one.
Ah. Check.
Fold.
He meant
Wrong.
call. He
Yeah.
meant call, but he said check.
Wrong terminology,
Yeah.
but got the judgment right in the end.
Wrong terminology, but it showed you the psychology. He didn't really want to do it, but he just thought he had to because he'd been around so long. And as it turns out, he's going to take in a good-sized pot with his ace and his pair of
Det
eights.
er godt, der kom en hjerter til, mand. Så jeg havde med på nakken.
And what that does also is move Glenn into the chip lead, just 100 ahead of Frank, 15,900 to 15,800. Stefan, the only other player now over the original 10,000 mark. He's been just biding his time. As you can see, he's only had 20% of the bets, only played 2 hands so far, but the first one he made a good play on and then played a couple afterwards.
Hanging in there, Mike. He's hanging
Hanging
in there now.
waiting for another opportunity. And he's going to be the first to speak here. Does he have the cards to do something? Not necessarily.
First pick.
He's got to do something with them, then get in the muck.
Pocket jacks for Lasse. All in?
Race.
Nope.
Raise. Bet 1,200.
Trying to get some play on him. He hasn't got many chips. He needs to try and get some play on those cards.
Lasse is short stacked at
Thomas.
3,800. Glenn folds, Anders folds. Nicholas,
Fold.
Frank,
Funk. 800 to call.
suited 5 and 6.
I called.
And for reasons best known to himself, he decides to stay in.
Well,
See if he can get lucky on
he'll
the
need
flop.
to get very lucky. He's playing the worst hand from the worst position, but you never know. We'll see.
Pair of 7s and a 3 on the flop.
Check. Check.
Inside straight draw, obviously with the 4, should that materialise for him, but it's not going to be cheap by the look of it.
That's
Bet 1,200.
Another 1,200. And he folds.
Yes, once.
So
I mean, the only thing he could have done having checked would be then to come back over the top and
Waste all his chips.
waste all his chips.
No. No, coming back over the top. He made the wrong decision before the flop, but after the flop came out, he made the right decision. And I think Lasse probably thinking, well, I'm the best player at this table. How have I got the least chips? I mean, he probably can't believe that he's right down
Well,
at the
if
bottom
he
there.
is the best player, I think he's going to have an interesting showdown with the man to his right, Stefan Prus.